Okay, I'm back. Boom. It's the same freaking video because I forgot the last one, but we're back. So now we're caught up. It is Friday, April 25th, 2025. I wonder if that will, I don't know, someone will watch this in 5 years and be like, whoa, 25? What the heck? I don't know, whatever. Ooh, 2030 sounds gross. Anyways, I'm going to show you the actual game now because I can, and we're caught up, and this is current. I just finished running a D&D session where Marsh died, and it was really fun, and D&D's in my brain, but I'll try to convert to Rat Rumble. So first thing is I put this guy in the corner because I thought it was funny. I'm going to double check OBS to make sure I'm straight. Yep, it's good. Okay. So a couple different things going on. I'm going to hit play and just show you around a little bit. So the mutation system is kind of like it was earlier. However, there's one key difference, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. Now, the mutants are a little bit more solid. So earlier, things were mutating, and it was really inconsistent. Like, you know, things would be giant or like attacking a trillion times in a second or whatever, and it was kind of a mess. Now, the mutations are a little more stable, a little more reasonable for the game. So, you know, the rats are generally pretty consistent here, but every once in a while maybe you'll see one that's attacking faster, or maybe a little bit bigger in scale, or maybe whatever else. You can also see little rat corpses happening. If you pay attention to all these little guys around the map, you can see they are not only dying and there's a little death animation, but there's a nice little attack animation going on here too. The attack animation I think is too subtle. I think they maybe need to tilt their heads up and face the player more, because it's just kind of really subtle on screen. The second thing I want to show off, I'm almost dead, so I need to be careful. Ooh, God. This knockback, I think, is just going to go away. Knockback right now, like, it was fun an idea. Like, I loved the idea of ragdolling and stuff, but I think having that happen and then they fade away a little bit will be fine. Maybe knockback is a perk in the future, and that would be pretty cool. So still same little mutation candies. All of these are green ones, so they're speed mutations. I also want to show off this. The turret, a couple fixes here, so you can pick that up. I'm going to make sure that, I'm going to like change some of the UI soon, I'm hoping. But now when you throw a turret, there's actually a bug with this right now, but in your hand, the turrets and the gun look different, at least a little bit now, so it doesn't feel like you're switching into the same exact weapon each time. That's going to change more in the future, but I just wanted to put that out there. Mutations, though. So I have gotten a couple speed mutations already. I've fixed player speed in a couple ways. So the air max speed was lower than the ground max speed, which is really stupid. So it felt really slow and gross to jump. Now they're the same, so it feels really smooth and nice, and I'm kind of flying all over the place. I also reduced the player's speed and the amount of speed you get from these upgrades right now. And again, these upgrades are like an artifact of an old version of the game, and I don't think they reflect how upgrades will actually work necessarily. But, you know, I think you can probably just see the way I'm moving around the map right now feels a lot better than it has in the past. So, just to recap, animations have happened. The rats' mutations have been like cleaned up just a little bit, and the player speed has been fixed up, and then the turrets, the in-hand turret looks different than the gun just a little bit. I'm still going to make that different more, but I just needed something temporary, at least for now. Also, I want to point out with the turrets, in the actual build, the current build of Rat Rumble, there was an issue with the turrets using the skinned mesh renderer, so they weren't actually visible because they didn't have bones, so it was like breaking and they weren't rendering, so they were invisible in the build. I've replaced the skin mesh renderers. I didn't even need them, I just thought that I did, but I was able to just bind something as a child to a pivot point, and then I don't need any skinned mesh stuff with bones. It just needed to transform. So we're back in business with that. So those are actually visible in render right now. I can go around and collect even more speed, I guess, just for fun. Show you how crazy it gets right now, I guess. And this isn't even with the sprint. There is a sprint. But clearly this is a little bit of a problem. I still really enjoy how the mutation stuff looks and how it moves around and stuff. It's very like candy-like. It feels really rewarding, and especially will when you add, or when I add a little like sound effect, like a cling or whatever. So I think that's pretty much it for this week. I had this thing that happened. I mean, I have a lot on my mind with D&D, so I'm gonna be working on that for a little bit. And that also might be like a second project that like I try to make this system and actually publish it in some way, shape, or form. But I have a student who's been just working on incredible work recently, and I had a conversation with them recently, and they were talking to me about how like, they've just gotten so much done. They were just showing off these really incredible works, and I was like, just amazed. I was like, how often are you animating? And she's like, well, I get home at 4 and I have to go to bed at 10. And that was her answer. I was like, so you animate from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. every day? And she's like, yeah, but like sometimes I have to go to a dinner and stuff. She's like, and I was like, fascinating. I'm like, that's so cool. And I was like, do you feel like you're kind of like being consumed or like going crazy if you don't make art? And she's like, yes. She's like, that really clicked with her. She's like, yeah, I feel like it's just like my life's falling apart if I'm not making stuff. And she's like, sometimes I'll be at like a nice dinner and I'll be with my parents and stuff, and I'm like, this is nice, but I wish I was animating. And that really like resonated with me. Like there's this weird manic creator thing that some people seem to have, and it's also something that I feel like is part of, I've been reading Blue Period, and it's just really a lot of stuff in there, but kind of just talking because I enjoy it. I think maybe myself looking back on this will appreciate it, but yeah, it got me kind of inspired to work on this more. And then Aiden came over and he just sort of like poked at a couple bugs and was like, these are really easy to fix. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And he got really interested and talked a lot about it, and it was really fun to just do together. So I don't know. There's a lot more I could do, and I have like 3 days of weekend ahead of me, which is exciting. So I think I'll get a lot more done. I have like no plans tomorrow, so I think there'll be big updates for next week. I'm hoping. I don't know. I shouldn't promise that. But yeah, so like, I don't know, random things I want to get done. I want to add more death poses so they die in different ways. That would be kind of funny. And then I want to make so they fade away or like sort of disintegrate almost and just puff of smoke, or I don't know what, but a little more clean instead of just teleporting out. I want to get rid of the knockback. That is really easy to do. I want to freaking work on the spawner. I want the spawner to make waves of rats. I want to work on the mutation stuff, so every time there's a new stat block that's been generated, that stat block gets added to a population manager in the game, and then whenever something spawned, it goes from that population manager, and then it sees if there's a mutation, or something like that, or like it. Yeah, something like that would work, because then it'd still be, yeah, whatever. And then, yeah, spawns in waves, and then it builds the waves based on the survival scores. And then, after all of that's working, I just need to build out a lot of different mutant rats, and then I can start playing with player upgrades and stuff like that. So that's this week. That is the 4th week of April, which is crazy to say out loud, is April 25th. Next time will be May, which is crazy. School year's ending, summer's coming, lots of stuff's going on. So hopefully I have a lot of cool stuff to talk about next time. See y'all.